Mobility, flow, and balance. To prep you for your class today, not everybody has a PVC pipe, but if you have a broom that you can unscrew the head to, that's going to be one of our gadgets we use today. And just for the sake of getting connected with our body, um, grab your pillow. I'm going to use my AirX pad, and we're going to just get into a little bit of ankle and knee work just to bring you to the feeling of what's happening with your legs, and then we'll flow into needing our chair and all of that other good stuff. So sometimes when we do these little pillow steps, it seems not that it's too easy, but it's like, how does this movement factor into mobility, flow, and balance? And I'm going to say that this would be more of your balance training. And as a secondary bonus, you are specifically doing knee rehab work. So hopefully you don't feel any stress in your knee, but it's the offloading of your step down and then this leg that drives you back up. So we get the balance and we get the knee rehab on the pushback, right? So give me 4 more. In your body, you're just trying to go, right? 3. And sometimes when I know that people play these back at different times, and I'm always referencing switch legs, that this is, a good way to start your day. It brought to mind something about my body, and I make this huge assumption that people are always just exercising in the morning. But so many people are on a very different biorhythm spectrum, and morning exercise for them is not a good feeling. So whenever you happen to tune in to me, just ignore the fact that I'm referencing morning time, and maybe you've had a full day and you just need to connect with your parts regardless of what time of day it is. So as you're coming down, if your feet are tracking, you got about 3 or 4 more. Too close to being in a straight line, you're going to feel really wobbly. Give me 1 more. No pain. Everything should just feel good. Step back, release, relax. And now we're going to go into our little side steps. Okay. Both feet coming up on your pillow and off. So I am going to turn to the side so that you can see this, the body angle. And it's been a while since I've referenced what's called athletic ready position. So you are not trying to do this one with your body in this like rigid position. As you come across your pillow, you are already like executing the beginning of a partial squat. So from the back of the head to the tailbone is this angled line, but not rounded, right? So think about nice clean line as if you were sitting down, getting ready to perch your hips on a high chair, right? Because that will really help you when it comes to the timing of your second foot. Okay. So athletic ready, it allows you to, for that nanosecond, brace and then dismount. All right. Give me 4 more. And in this athletic ready position, your body can move faster, right? Because you've shortened your range. You're not shortening your range of motion, you're shortening the load aspect, and your body is just ready to move. Give me 2 more. Belly is pulled in. Finish on your next side step. Release and relax. Move your pillow out of the way. Bring in your chair. Chair, ottoman, could be your coffee table, right? Could be the edge of your coffee table. It could be your ball. Something that we might do, since I know you guys signed in have a ball and we haven't used our ball for a while, we're going to incorporate a little ball work today too. So hands on your chair. Let's get into cat back, which should right now just feel like this fabulous pull across your lumbar, and then settle into the sway back. In your sway back, slide the shoulders out of your ears, lift your chin, try to elongate through that chest area like everything is pulling up to the ceiling. And then as you start softening the neck, draw the chin to chest, suck your belly button up into your body, go into your rounded spine. And as you're in rounded spine, your head should actually come through the arms a little bit without you straightening your legs. I see so often people go right into straight legs when they're in rounded spine, but I want you to stay bent, right? And now take your body, pull it, shoulders glide out of the ears, your chest and your head and your neck kind of project forward and up. Do one more. Let the head release. Start sucking your belly button up into your body. Let your hands that are pushing into the chair drive your body back a little bit so you feel more of a heel load. Your eyes are open and you're just going to reference like what angle, how much space do you have between your feet and your knees? Are your knees collapsing into each other and yet your feet are far apart? Right? Line it up. And as we come out of this one, pull yourself up. Right? Raise the arms, get ready. We're going into this forward hinge into tabletop spine. And now tabletop is you're enlisting your S. I want you to go leg raise, do it again. Okay, because now you're probably just catching up. Leg raise, leg raise. And now when that second foot comes down, stop. Go arm extension, do it again. You're getting ready to put opposite arm and leg together. Are you ready? Go. Opposite arm and leg, push and release. Opposite arm and leg. So most people are used to doing this movement from a kneeling position. This is modified to keep us off of our knees, but I find this one to be harder in some respects to the kneeling one, okay? And I did tell you we're going to use our ball. We're going to use our ball for this one, and you're going to figure out just how much the body is cheating when we have this arm able to push down into the floor, because so often we can be rounded spine and not even realize that we're in rounded back. So we're going to do one more to each side. If your spine is in a rounded spine, what's going to happen is you're not going to be able to get your leg to lift so that it's level with the hip line. It's only when you take your body and get into S curve can you get your nice length. Ready? Take it down. Inhale one more time. Here, go ahead and allow yourself to be in a little bit of C curve. So as you're in C curve, because we're going to clean it up, as you're in C curve, your head is kind of hanging and you're looking at the foot on your extended leg. And now you're going, oh, okay, my foot was turned out, so square that baby up. And then start correcting your spine into S. And as you get into S, the leg will raise. You're looking down without letting the head hang, and you're trying to raise the extended arm, get that arm to lift and try to get your ear and your bicep aligned. And now bring the parts down, whew, roll it up, walk it off. Before we go to our ball, we're going to go into our balanced book work, okay? So grabbing your book, your chair, unless it's a space issue, leave your chair because that might, we'll use that as just a navigational tool, okay? All right, do you have your mirror? Can you walk up to your mirror? Maybe, maybe not. Maybe it's just you're gonna go by the feel of it. Okay. I don't know, it's so weird. Sometimes when I set the book on my head, like if I don't look at the screen, it just doesn't feel right. But yet, as I reference it in the screen, it seems like it's centered. So here we go. It's already starting and my leg is doing something, right? I'm not centered. And we're going to start our little walk. So nothing new. I want you to walk around your space as if you're trying to like sneak up, make very little noise. Maybe you guys don't think about things the same way I do, but you know how when a room is really quiet, all of the little noises seem so much more pronounced? And the noise that comes to my mind is, why is it that our feet, ankles, toes like snap, crackle, pop, right? So as you're taking these really slow steps, I want you to now, the leg that's taking this step, really reach for it, okay? Because the shorter your step, the less intense the movement will be. The longer you create your leg stride, your body is trying to recover from that little acceleration it takes to get off the back foot, right? And propel yourself forward. So we now have just shifted it. The timing is slow, but we're accelerating into the forward foot. And then you're having to slow yourself down because you're taking this dramatic step. And as you get around your space, I want you to just relax, go to a normal walk pattern, turn yourself around, and now go through your space the opposite direction. Reset your extension, right? So you're on the prowl. The leg that does the stride, be okay like bending that leg. So the more we get our body like doing things different, where we're down and then up, your muscles, your balancing skill is changing, right? Are you still holding the book? Can you like extend and explode up? Soften the knee on your front leg like you're doing a single leg squat and stand up. Extend, soften that knee, stand up. Give me two more. Extend, because you're having to brace your body. Extend, pull up, walk it off, take the book, right? If the book is still on your head, fantastic. You're going to walk back into your space. All right, reset yourself. Phase 2, belly to spine. Are you able to take one arm around your front and one arm around your back, right? And then when you do that, draw your shoulders down. And what if you have to switch the arms because the arm that you picked to go behind you is not comfortable? So just figure out which arm. If you can only do the back arm with one arm, then you need to, have the correct arm back there. I don't want you straining. All right. This would be another time where your mirror would come in handy. Okay. So what? Just look at something real quick. See how far my elbow is sitting wide? What what do you have to do with your trailing arm? Even if the hand isn't high up your back, how do you get the trailing arm elbow to be under the shoulder, right? And now interesting thing happens. If you're able to take your trailing arm around your waistline, then it becomes this reference for the front arm. Think about that square, right? So everything is down. All the while, you're just here balancing that book. Your arms are square. You're kind of holding your body. The shoulders are down. Pull your head back. Squeeze your buns. I'm going to back up just a little bit so you can see my feet. Take your toes. Go into your plied position. Zip and tuck through the derriere. Ooh, okay. So I'm coming up and down. I want you to try to keep your heels together. Wow. While the heels are together, zip, zip up. Okay. So heels are together, you're pulling up. You might think that you're zipped up. Try it even more. It's going to get a little bit more intense. Shoulders down. You're going to just stay on your toes, holding firm for 5, 4. Keep zipping and tucking, navel to spine, buns tight. 3, 2. Release. Now, walk the legs. Just bring the arms out of the equation for a second. The trailing arm front part of your shoulder should have just gotten a massive stretch. If you can, switch the arms. For the sake of success of getting your arm behind you, sometimes if you will start with the action of lengthening the arm, like take that joint, like get it long, and then turn the hand, and then keep it long, right? That might give you the better odds of keeping it from being all bound up in the shoulder, okay? So as close as you can get, the elbow and shoulder line, and then the front arm, same thing. This is where the mirror comes into hand, right? So if you don't have a mirror, you can't look down because your book's on your head, right? It comes down to the feel of it. Here we go. Back into your position. Your toes are flared out. The heels are connected. Take your derriere, give a little zip and tuck. Before we ever start the calf raise, like check in with what are our shoulders doing. There is some stress here because there's already multiple elements we're controlling. Here we go. Slide the shoulders down. Whew. As soon as you slide the shoulders down, you get longer from front body line. Okay, so here we go. Raise up to tiptoes. Even if you can't get high, just get the heels a little bit off the floor and then press the hips forward. Ooh. Pull the belly in. Try to engage your buns even more. Release heels. Pull it up. If you're not able to stay up, then you just keep rocking down and up. Okay. But on this one, see if you can stay up. Shoulders are down. Take your derriere, tuck it through. Lift the heels higher. The heels are touching. Squeeze the buns deeper. Pull your neck and chin back. Holding 5, 4. Pull the belly in deeper. 3, 2, and release. Now you're done with your book. What is the significance of all of that? All we did was 3 little calf raises, right? What we got was isometric loading for the leg muscles, and we got time spent in stretch mode for the trailing arm. I distracted you enough, and I complicated your body's like awareness. It didn't know where to put the majority of the focus in, but it really was a dominant stretch for the anterior delt on the trailing arm. So just let the arms relax a little bit. I want you to grab your stick, okay? It would not be an uncommon sensation, right? When you come out of an intense hand behind the back stretch, to feel like almost like a weakness or a fatigue in the front of that shoulder. So if you're like, oof, man, that one's tricky. I don't know if I should do that one. If there's some residual sensation to it, you haven't done anything wrong. That would just be a super common sensation. Okay, so here we go. So we're going to continue stretching this part of the body, right? You have to determine how far apart do you need your hands to get the stick to slide up, right? The closer your hands together, they're not going to be together because you're not going to really be able to get the stick very high, but a little bit wider than hip width, and just keep the stick connected to the body, pull up, This would be where another mirror would come in handy, and I'll show you why. Because in the process of you pulling your stick up, what happens if your spine changes positions? Like, it's not a very attractive line, right? So, like, sometimes when I play these videos back and I catch myself like in demonstration of the wrong form, I'm like, oh, that's not very flattering. So I want you to think about this. We are going to offset one foot forward of the other because that's going to help you stay upright. You determine how far you need your hands apart, but I want you to do the movement as if you're just like you're expressing yourself like it's like ta-da. Okay, so if you will pull the stick up your back body line with the intention of projecting the chest and ribs through that forward space, your stretch across the front of your body, even if you get part way up. This is what I love about breaking a movement down. If you went into a forward lean, right, and you got about halfway, and then you cleaned up your form, knowing that you needed to roll the shoulders down and back and project the chest forward, it lets you have two different, release it, you're going to do one more. It lets you feel like you're doing a couple of different things, right? All of this takes control. Even being in a bad form line takes control. So now you're at the halfway point. How do you start riding your body, rolling the shoulders back, right? Push forward. You have to decide, are your hands too close together for you to do this? Release it, right? Switch the feet. Next move, okay? Your feet are not in a straight line. Both feet are tracking forward, but they're about hip width apart. Okay. So now move the stick back, shoulders pull back, move the stick back, shoulders round, slide them down, zip and tuck, move the stick back. And now the profile of this, right? Shoulders roll, slide the depressors, which are the muscles under your armpits, slide them down, and then move the stick back. Ready? Go up. Full roll. Not only do we want the arms to pull back, we have to get them down and long so that the triceps are firing up, and release. Roll it up, sliding down. As you push the stick away from you, squeeze the butt on your trailing leg and pull your belly in. Ready? Do one more. Shoulders rolling, gliding the stick into that lengthened arm position. The chin is pulling back because we're in cervical spine retraction. Stick moves off of the thigh. Squeeze belly and bun and release and relax. Set your stick down. We may come back to the stick, but for right now, you're probably good. Okay, remember, I mentioned that you were going to do a movement with your ball. So I'm saying this next thing for anybody who sees the video later, right? Because I won't know who all's going to be watching the video. I just happen to know the people that are with me live have a ball. If you don't happen to have a ball, then you're just going to carry on, right? You're going to go back to, it's called bird dog with your chair, okay? But for us with the ball, how long has it been since we've been here, right? Is your ball like squishy because you haven't used it for a while? Just get on it. All right. Bird dog. Remember what we were doing with our chair? We were doing opposite arm and leg extension. That's all I want you to do here. Opposite arm and leg extension. The great thing about the ball, right? And depending on whether or not you have shoes, if you had shoes on, you would be able to flex those feet and keep your feet stationary. It would give you a prop. But if you're like me and you don't have shoes on, you're going to feel like you're constantly resetting your feet. I might even put myself on the carpet a little bit. That may help me. But nonetheless, it's a adjustment that can take place after every repetition, right? Hard flex the foot, lift the leg. It's not trying to go high. You don't want to lift the leg high. You just want to lift it to a stiff position and then take the opposite arm forward. If you raise the arm and you find that your chest comes down into the ball, this is really important. Then maybe you don't do the leg part until you're able to get your chest off the ball a little bit and get your arm high enough. So you might have to segment your movement and just focus on the arms or focus on the legs if you find that your body can't control two halves with two stiff limbs. It's called a regression, right? It's a scalable thing to make the movement harder. So in an ideal situation, what we would be monitoring here is parallel line to the floor, right? Switch sides. Now, we're going to do about 4 more. Do you need the hand on the floor, or can you touch the ball with that hand and down, right? So grab hold of the ball, lift the chest up, pick a leg. You don't have to lift it high. See what happens, right? Because this is very telling. Squeeze the buns, shoulders out of the ears, the leg is holding, and then take the other arm, opposite arm, into its forward length. All right, touch down. So even losing your balance a little bit, right? Your hand is so close to the floor that you can quickly modify and give yourself assist before you ever roll off the ball. From right to left side, the muscles do not have the same ability. If you only have your hands on the ball, right? Pelvic tilt, lift the chest just a little bit, pick up one foot, barely lift it. Are you still balanced? If you find that you cannot balance, it is probably due to the fact that you're not in pelvic tilt. Okay? Touch down. Do it again. Relax the chest. This is your last one. You're not even going to add the arms, but try to put your hands on the ball. Ready? So streamline the trunk so you've got your back, your upper back working. Take the bubble butt, go into pelvic tilt. All right, here we go. So now use the other leg. Barely lift the foot off the floor, right? Because this is where your balance is going to get into play. So with the foot barely off the floor, as I'm talking, I'm throwing myself out of whack. Not only that, I know that my right bun wants to take the easy route. Though the left leg on my, as I'm demonstrating this, is lifted, it's really my right side that is controlling my ability to whether or not I can balance this. So pelvic tilt into the ball and you'll find that your body has better stability. And release. Whew. Do you have to put your knees on the floor to get down, to get off the ball? Or can you walk forward a little bit, take one leg, give it a giant step, roll into it? How strong are you to use the ball in your body to get up? We're done with the ball. Maybe a little water. I'm finding that I'm still trying to get my vinegar water in me. I used to just chug a lug this. I'd stand at the sink and just drink it until it was gone. I don't know why it would seem like the slower version is like something to cherish, but it's not. It's not. It's not a good taste to linger. Okay, ready? Where to next, class? You need your chair. Hip hip flexor. 2 things for the hip flexor. We're going to do hip flexor and then piriformis, okay? So for me, I like to have hand support. If I'm going to opt for hand support, an opposite leg on the chair. So I've got this cross body support, which helps me feel like I'm staying square. And just take your forward lean. So you just keep pushing forward. So often when I work with people in this position, check your foot on the stance leg. Make sure the toes aren't swiveled out, right? Align the foot. And now, we don't just want our body weight to lunge forward. We want to bring the middle body up and in, right? So that when you start your forward drive, you immediately feel the stretch at the crease line on that trailing leg. If I was paying no mind to where my hip and low back, what was happening back there, I'd be able to just push and push and push, and I would be going, okay, where's my stretch? The stretch happens when you control the other parts of your body sooner, right? So you just start right off with your pelvic tilt. You don't have to take it deep. We can take it deep, but we don't need to. Float the leg into its straight position, pushing your hand into whatever you're using as your support. Take your body all morning so far, right? Through the class, we've been working on controlling from C curve to S curve. Now, you're going to stay in S for a moment. The hand is pressing you away from your object because that creates the tension. We want the derriere back. Hopefully, even if this leg isn't straight, if the leg is soft kneed and you've got this nice clean S and angled body, you will feel the hamstring. If the leg is straight and all you feel is that connection behind the knee, you need to soften your knee. Okay. Look at your foot. Is your foot doing something squirrely where the toes are rolled out? Get aligned. Both feet vertical, right? At least tracking in a good line. The tailbone is back. The trunk is long. Plant the foot. Take your body, bring it up. Immediately go into your pelvic tilt, and then you can do your little forward push. Now, phase 2 for the outer, okay? You're going to get a little bit closer to your chair. Put the foot on it. That's it. This might not be anything for you, just letting your leg have that angle. But what I do, this is where we start because not everybody can actually go further, okay? So to take it further, you've got options. You can reset to a longer line so that you can press into it. You can even soften the back knee. Wow, right? There's a lot of options from where I am here to where the beginning is. So somewhere, as long as you can keep your spine with integrity, okay, because as soon as you go into C curve, that's not what I consider integrity to the back. We've got to keep our tension as if something is pulling us away from the floor, which would be your strong muscles holding you from collapsing. You can shove the hips back and take as much of a forward hip hinge as you need to feel the pull through the hip, or you can just let gravity win and be supported. So I'm going to sit here for a few more seconds, right? From this position, because so many people are really flexible here. And even this degree of stretch isn't enough. How much is enough? If we're not supposed to be working with the intention of getting deeper and deeper into the stretch, the enough point is at the point where you feel your body fighting the stretch, or you're saying, "Oh my gosh, this is so intense." You've worked beyond your enough point. But I just want to show you, right? So as long as we can maintain the integrity of the spine, even in this position, we can angle ourselves forward. And as the forward angle happens, the stretch line increases. Okay, so this is at least a minute and a half. We're ready to get out of this. So you're going to move into this leg number 2. And for me, I'm going to move around to the other side of my chair because I like opposite hand to foot connection. Ready? Okay, where are we starting? At the beginning, hip flexor. Put foot, hip flexor for the trailing leg. Check out your feet. Both feet are in forward straight line track. The feet are not in a heel to toe. They're not in a straight line that way. They're hip width apart, but moving in that forward track path. Immediately set your pelvic tilt and then squeeze the bun. We don't want to be here. We don't want to be collapsing that, right? So you teach yourself how to harness in the middle body and then take the forward push without collapsing. Stretch should be immediate. It should feel good. If your trailing foot is working with a slightly turned out position, that's just a different stretch line, right? So all of the same control still needs to take place. If you find that your foot is out and you're like, I feel a good stretch with my toes out, just remember, make sure you're in pelvic tilt, because that just changes the stretch to be a slight into the adductor. So not a bad thing, just different than what I'm trying to do. Okay, so that's a hip flexor. Ready? Shove the fanny back, go into your hamstring. Determine, are you feeling the massive stretch behind the junction at the knee? If so, soften the knee and then reset everything about your tension line. If you recheck with the toes, right? Everything's flexed on that front foot. What angle? What direction is your kneecap headed? Can you get that, right? To track up along with the toes. And then straighten the leg if you can. Straighten the leg, lengthen the spine, and you just keep into your forward hinge until you feel your back go into round. We're not trying to round here. We want to lengthen. And if your hammies are really tight, then as soon as you come into a forward hinge, right, what will happen is the spine will automatically round. So if you're like, I can't bend forward without rounding, what am I doing wrong? It's just that your hamstrings are too tight to permit you to be in a flat spine. So you need to soften your knee to keep your back where it's supposed to be. Ready? Next phase. Release it. Figure out, are you in super shallow stretch right here? My body has the ability to compress all the way down to the floor, so I'm resting on the back knee and I'm leaning forward, right? But even in this very modified position here, I can shift my hips, I can get a forward hinge, and I can create a significant stretch, even though this is super modified to what my full end range is going to be. Pull up, decide, are you going to go a little bit further or are you going to stay right here, right? Navel to spine. You're going to lengthen into hip hinge. You might not even notice that I do this. I do it and I'm going to say why I do it, because maybe you will then find yourself doing it. So this whole tactile thing, that you've got this free arm, okay? Can you use it? I believe that we have a healing touch, right? So can you use your other arm? If you're having a sensitivity in your knee, put your hand on the spot that feels like it needs some little, I'll call it TLC, right? If you're very intense into the stretch and it really is like borderline pain, then come out of it a little bit and just give it a massage. I'm going to take myself to the next degree. You decide if you're just standing here, whatever you want. We're going to go about 20 or 30 seconds, right? And you're just going to work yourself into it. Now, here we go. Chin up, chest up. Right? Nice vertical line. Even in this position, okay? I've got one hand helping me pull my body up, and the other hand is just telling my little leg. This gives you a great way to check in with your toes, right? What do you feel? Like, what do you feel when you squeeze yourself? Do you feel like you actually have some muscle density, or do you feel like you're squeezing like a marshmallow? Right? That's kind of an odd thing, but you can tell when your body is strong or when you actually need to do muscle work. We all need it, right? All right. How do you get out of it? You do you. I'm going to bear down, use my foot on the trailing leg, press out of it. Easy does it. Okay, you're done with your chair. Grab your mat, grab a little quick drink. We're heading to the floor. Heading to the floor, and we're going to do our quadriceps. So since we've just spent all of this time on piriformis and hip flexor, now would be a good time. Well, actually, we got our hamstring down there too, right? So now would be a good time to complete the lower limb and get quad, calf, and ankle going. And we can't leave out the adductor, okay? Water, water, water. Maybe when you come down, you're getting your pillow handy, right? The worst thing is to get on the floor and realize you don't have all of your stuff around you. And then you have to decide whether or not you're going to take a break from a stretch to go get the stuff that you should have had when you went down to the floor. So, I've got my little towel. I've mentioned a handful of times that this this mic doesn't sit really firm against the back of my head, and so when I lay on the floor, if this touches the floor, then generally my head is in the wrong position, but I find that little towel of mine bridges the gap. Okay, you ready? You're down, loop one foot. It doesn't matter which leg. Let's start on our side, and then we'll roll into belly down to be into the full stretch, okay? So many considerations. I often feel like I'm a broken record, right? But I know that for anybody who's got shoulder glitches, for you to extend your arm and lay on it can really feel uncomfortable. So if you can identify with that, that's another reason to have your pillow handy so that you don't have to use that arm in that capacity, okay? So you would rest on your pillow. Take that top leg, start anchoring the stretch. Okay, once you get your strap over the shoulder and your head comfortably where it's going to be, right? Pelvic tilt. That's all you got to do. Now, you're going to stay in pelvic tilt and you're going to let your knee just kind of swing forward because in forward position shouldn't be any stretch. When you rock the leg back, it's an immediate awareness to the middle thigh. So swing it in, push it back. As it's pushing back is when you want to enlist the full pelvic tilt, navel to spine. Take the pressure off, let it swing forward, push it back, pelvic tilt. How high is your knee? Level it out. We want our hips to be stacked, right? For this vertical line, top hip, bottom hip. The knee, hopefully, is like creating a straight line from the hip, right? You're in pelvic tilt. Do one more. Let the knee slide forward, no stretch. Push it back. Start going, where is my knee in relation to my hip? Where is my knee in relation to its level position? And then pelvic tilt. And now all of this extra strap needs to come in front of you so you're not laying on it. Release the leg so that you can forward roll. Take a moment to wiggle those thighs together. Pull on that strap. Zip and tuck. So this is oh goodness. You know, sometimes when I do a movement, it then branches off into something not entirely different, but in addition to. So in addition to this stretch, I want you to have a reference for whether or not your foot that's strapped is tracking in a true position. And we're going to enlist the help of the other leg. So bend both legs, draw the feet towards each other, and maybe they immediately go to connection. Okay? So now pelvic tilt. Keep pulling on your strap. This is going to help you track. It's going to help the stretching leg track in the right position. Okay. Something very interesting should be happening here too. Now release it. Let out enough strap so that your leg can go all the way straight. Okay, both legs straight. And from your straight leg position, pelvic tilt. When our legs are bent and we're pulling on it, it is not an uncommon thing to get like pinched up through the low back. So now that the legs are straight, you can mash down into the floor and kind of stretch your lumbar. Okay, so ready? Did you feel the hamstring on leg number 2 fire up? Okay, I've just planted a seed. Ready to try it again? Take both feet, touch them together, start bending your legs, and reset your pelvic tilt. Just as soon as you can pull your buns and hips through the movement into contractions where I want you to be. Now, take the strap, pull, pull, keep your feet together, keep in pelvic tilt. There we go. So here's the interesting thing. One foot is being pulled on, right? But yet both legs are bent. The leg that does not have the strap on it, that hamstring is working for you right now. So don't fear that. If it like really gets tired and you can feel like that muscle is firing up, that's a good thing. Now, just keep holding it a few more seconds. If you are able to release the non-strapped leg and grab hold of the strapped foot, then you go the next level with it, right? But not at the sacrifice of getting space between your hip and your body. If you've got your foot and your hips are up, you've just shortchanged yourself. We've got to get into the floor, mash it down. The knees or thighs are still connected and you're holding for 4, 3, 2, release and relax. Oof. That was probably a solid 3 minutes of quadricep stretching on that leg. Be careful as you come out of it. You're not immediately going to leg number 2. All I want you to do is get on your side enough to take the strap off right? And then that leg is going to come up into its figure four. We're shifting gears and we're going to let the upper body take a little reprieve here. Okay, so now your arms are reaching the top arm. So I'm going to bring my towel under my head. If you need your pillow, right, then put it there so that you can comfortably be resting in this open, rotated position. So with your head on the floor, your chin is kind of tipped into the chest line so that the neck is nice and long. And you're just going to spend a few seconds figuring out what angle do your arms need to be at so that you feel stretch, not strain. Okay. And that might require you to open your arms to a T. That might require that the arm that's in its most loaded position might have to have hand touching the shoulder to alleviate some of the stretch if it's too much. But in your most ideal set position, your arms would be in what's called a Y flare, okay? And gravity is hard at work. If you don't have to hold the arms up off the floor, then let the weight of them track so that the backs of the hands are touching the floor. This is a massive spine rotation, right? I mean, no disputing that. But you're stretching your thoracic spine in addition to getting your chest and that front shoulder on your forearm stretched. Okay, so now we're all going to protect ourselves. Bend the arms, offload the shoulders. Maybe you pull your hands towards heart center and then pick up your head, help yourself over. You're going to sweep that leg down because we're going to come up into our side sit. Take your time. We got to go leg number 2. And I'm just going to end up swiveling myself around. Leg number 2, starting on our side. The thought goes through my mind, I realize that the class designation is mobility, flow, and balance. Mobility, flexibility, right? All of that, those all have an interlinking connection. And some of this stuff obviously feels like the same stuff that we do in our full body stretch out. I see the value of it. Okay. So um, hopefully you do too. And you'll feel at the end of class like you've just done the right thing for yourself. Does your head need the pillow because your arm doesn't want to have the load on the shoulder? Right. So if that's the case, my towel isn't high enough. It doesn't have enough mass in it to put my neck in the truly the right place. So this, I'm just showing you that you would use your pillow and hopefully it would prop your head up enough so that your neck was staying neutral, right? So that's kind of your gauge. I'm going to use my arm. Okay, so get that leg, sweep it. The knee wants to jack itself up. You're going to lower the whole hip complex and you're going to anchor the strap. And you're going to push the knee back with the intention of getting yourself tucked and zipped up through the hip line. And then let the knee float forward. Drive it back, zip and tuck. We're going to do 5 of these little swings. Just make sure when you drive the leg back that your knee isn't sliding up. Okay. If you don't want to sweep the leg front and back, then just hold it on the back end and keep telling yourself pelvic tilt. Maybe you float out of pelvic tilt so that you can then reset the pelvic tilt and identify that once you add in the pelvic tilt, it really does lock that stretch in to the quad. Do one more. Swing the knee forward, push it back.
there's something so, as far as a thought process goes, right? I'm, if you were to, I don't even know how to say this, because this is all organic, right? It's not like I'm on some script. Release the leg. We're going to float into our belly down position. But I think about people's aversion to stretching, right? Like if we could just take a random poll and ask people, even people who weren't like doing health and fitness stuff, just randomly ask a question to people. Do you think like flexibility is a good thing that your body should have? I wonder if most people would say, yeah, I think that would be a great thing if I were more flexible. And then the next question, so you've already started, your leg is bent. Let's add in leg number 2. As soon as you pick up leg number 2, check in, did the hip line pop up? Mash down into the floor. See if you release the leg that's got the strap a little bit so that you can get the feet touching each other. Okay. The knees, don't let them separate. So squish those inner thighs together nice and tight. Pull the hip bones down to the floor and then pull on the strap a little bit. See if you can get leg number 2 to come along with leg number 1. Leg number 2 is activating in the hamstring in order to keep up with leg number 1. If leg number 2 cramps in the back of the thigh, then just release it and try to reset. Okay, so here we go. We're holding. Feet are together, pelvic tilt. You're squeezing, pulling on the strap, trying to get leg number 2 and leg number 1 to do the same thing. Now, let out enough strap so that both legs can go straight. So if we can continue with the line of question, do you think flexibility is good? Most people would say, yeah, I need to work on that. And then maybe the next follow up question would, do you think that being flexible has any relevance to your overall strength? Most people most people would not associate that strength and flexibility really go hand in hand. Okay, bend the leg. So the more limber we're able to get our body, the greater range of motion we are able to increase our strength line in. And that is an overall full thing. Okay, that is a legitimate thing. So right now, I've posed that thought to you because I want you to really feel what's happening in your body. So with the leg that we're holding as the strap, we're stretching that quad. With the second leg, that leg is getting what's called an isometric load in the hamstrings. And now, pelvic tilt into the floor. Squeeze your buns. Pull on the strap a little bit more if you can, right? You don't want to have knee strain. The whole reason why I have your legs bent together is to help you find the right tracking line to help alleviate knee discomfort. Okay, so now if everything's okay here and you are flexible enough to release the non strap leg and get hand to foot on the strap leg, then you go for it. But I don't want you to get strain. So you figure out, can you take it or not? And now, if you happen to have your hand holding your foot, roll the body so that the hip on that stretching side connects to the floor and reset your pelvic tilt, holding for 5, 4, 3, 2, and release. Easy does it. Nice, nice, nice. So remember, we're kind of coming out of this just to the halfway point. We're finishing with that big rotation stretch, but you're going to work your strap off your foot. Take that leg, pull it up into its figure four position. Let those arms reach. Decide whether or not you're going to use your pillow. Okay. Open that top arm. Help yourself over. Just because you get over doesn't mean that the spine is truly in its right sitting position. So I use my arm to kind of lift my trunk and get this alignment thing. And maybe you've got to rock your hips a little bit. Maybe that top leg needs to give you some assistance to help you out of the stretch if what you're feeling is super uncomfortable. Find the right angle for your arms. The head should be neck long. And at some point, you've got to take all of the stress out of what you're doing. So that means you have to have the right angle, whether it's elbow soft. I don't know what's going to suit you, but you've got to stop fighting the stretch and let gravity take over. Now, that far arm is going to start the adjustment. Soften the elbow, let that arm come into you to offload, right? You can roll all the way to the center. You can pull both legs forward, help yourself up. You do not have to get up. You can just stay right here and let yourself like come to its back to its, we'll call it homeostasis, right? This position right here for me, like I have a hard time finishing class right here because I know that this 90-90 stretch is the stretch that my body craves. So, um, if you're going, yeah, I want to do the 90, then just stay here with me for a second. Use this arm, help yourself get into that full pushed up tensioned stretch. Spine is an S, and then start helping yourself come into a forward lean without collapsing the back. You're trying to square your shoulders and your hips towards the floor, right? And then maybe you're able to come forward. It's a hamstring stretch for the front leg, right? There's so much happening here. And release and relax. Maybe it's like the second side, right? Maybe you've already walked away and you've gone, I know Marlene's got things to do, right? This side feels like it's someone else's parts for me. So my QL on my right side is so much tighter than my left, right? 90-90 to the best of your ability. Use that down arm to help you slide your trunk into the right spot. Keep adjusting the down arm as you bring your body forward. Shoulders and hips, try to square them up to the floor. And then you're going to be able to get your forward length. Wow, so intense. With all of the court sport play time that I'm getting, right, which essentially is hours a week, right? Maybe it's 4 in the cumulative of the week in addition to what we're doing together. The court sport, so think about that. If I'm playing 4 hours of pickleball, maybe it's 3, whatever. Doesn't it seem fair that I then spend at least 3 hours stretching or foam rolling or the combination of, so that's what I've been trying to do is find the balance where if I'm doing something that's very intense, that I at least spend the same amount of time trying to do something that helps me with the lengthening phase. So when you guys come and join me in class, we all get to do this together. But I hope you have a great day. I hope your body feels fantastic. And thank you for coming, you guys.